Fernhill. I would like to acknowledge the Biripi people who are the traditional owners of this land in which the following story takes place. Sunburnt leaves littered the ground of Fernhill. There were mounds of them, even before autumn had come. Nestled in amongst the leaves that were left, above Kath and Ken's home on the Old Oxley Highway, lived Kate and her Joey. Peaceful gardens, watching over everyone, seeing friends come and go, just like the Australian seasons she knew so well. New houses sprouted like weeds. No one wanted them, but they just came. Fernhill was not so untouched anymore. More and more people wanted a piece of it. The sun peeked over the horizon and filtered through Kate's tree. Kath and Ken's coffee cups were almost empty as morning arrived. They're going to knock it down to make room for the new airport road. Kath was scared. Kate could hear it in her voice. It was shaky and unsure. The government people will be coming round to talk to us about it soon. They'll be coming to tell us that they need our land, Ken replied. Kate would have no home, no place for her Joey either, so they had to go. The dangerous journey began, across streets, through backyards, and past pets, but soon they found their way. By the time the sun had fallen over the other side of the sky, Kate and her Joey had found a tree, one so old that you could almost hear all the stories it could tell, almost see all the people it had seen, almost meet all the animals it had met. And behind it was old Alban House, not quite as old as its leafy neighbour, but maybe close. It was going to be taken away too, because big black roads are more important than old houses and dry trees, they say. Kate listened to the conversations that the people had below her. The word acquiring blew around like dry leaves in autumn. I think it means they're going to take it without asking, she whispered to her Joey. How sad. She heard men in shiny yellow hats talking too. Some of them were like Kate. They didn't want this, but some had to help. It seemed like they had little Joeys to look after too. People Joeys. Soon, groups of people gathered. They had signs and banners and flags, kicked over traffic cones and tore away tape. They yelled and chanted loudly, very loudly. They still seemed very kind though, like they were almost as wise as the trees they were trying to save. What is going on? She said. A lady nearby heard her small voice, swirling around, unanswered. Protesters, she yelled. Protectors, Kate knew. She heard them every day for hours. Days turned to weeks, and weeks turned to months. Kate waited and waited and waited. All she wanted was for Fernhill to be okay, for her home to be okay. Winter had now passed, frost on lawns had melted, heat came out of hibernation. And one morning, the frostless grass crunched under Kate's tree. It was the protesters. They had saved her tree. They were heroes. And with keen eyes, they watched over Kath and Ken. They heard them and their grandkids. They played in the crunchy leaves and dandelions for hours, happy. But one day, when no koalas were sat in the tree, it fell, all on its own. But in its place, a tiny eucalyptus sapling was planted, so Kate's family could move back one day. As time went on, and many more seasons went by, Kate's Joey and her Joey, and her Joeys after that, all lived in the same tree.